and I saw her name.
Were you crying?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I saw her name, and the first thing that popped into my head was she quit her job.
Welcome back to Commonwealth. Flipper, welcome to the Commonwealth. Cabin, we've got a great episode today. I know there's a lot of folks out there that want to go full-time. People always talk about it. So I always bring in people who have done just that. And so today you're going to hear how to walk out of your job, just quit just like that. Nothing will ever go wrong, I promise.
Welcome back.
Well, we were going to start this episode here, but Turner had to say goodbye. And, well, let's start it anyway.
There you go, this works.
All right, we have Adam here and we have Sarah here. Awesome t-shirts, by the way. Those are killer. And they've been thrifting today. Uh-oh, Wallen wants out. There you go. You gonna go? You gonna go? There you go. Sophie stays. And they're Pittsburgh Picker. They do a few live shows a couple times a week.
2 weeks, Thursday and Sunday.
And then you do one What Sold a week right there, I see. Okay.
That one actually wasn't a What Sold. That was a one-off. We do a bunch of one-offs. If it's something that, you know, is going to catch people, and those were grateful, vintage grateful.
Okay, and you are, I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit. Where are you from? Okay, and let's give a little bit of a backstory here about like maybe how long you've been picking before we get into like the decision making, the leap of quitting the job, whatever it is, and getting into full-time reselling. So a little backstory. You told me you're a California guy like me, right? Yeah. Okay, what led you out here?
I actually moved back to California twice.
Okay.
So I'm originally from the Bay Area and then moved to Pennsylvania, and I grew up here.
Okay.
Grew up in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And then decided, I'm tired of the weather, so I moved back.
And
that was a mistake. Yeah. That was a mistake because it's just, I can't afford to live in California. So
it's
came back to
very
Pittsburgh
hard.
And, I was there for a year before I met Sarah. And that's kind of
very
how...
cool. When did you start picking?
Oddly, I have the worst picking story ever because I didn't start really picking until we started the eBay store. But Sarah and I had gone to like record stores because we used to collect vinyl and stuff. So we would do that, but that's really it. Like my picking story is I started picking because of eBay. Okay,
so you weren't doing picking long time ago. You really didn't pick long before you met her.
Right.
So you're the picker.
She's the picker.
Yes.
Did you drag him along?
So my dad and my grandparents, they were always like collectors, hoarder type grandparents.
Collector/hoarder.
Yes.
Hoarder
so it was always like kind of, I guess, in my blood, as they say. And my dad and I used to go to garage sales and stuff. He used to sell on eBay. We met. I used to collect dolls. I still do somewhat collect them and sell them.
Creepy dolls.
I used to collect the creepy
stuff. You see that creepy one right back there? Look at that one.
That's not quite creepy.
Not quite creepy. Oh, man. That's
like missing limbs, things like that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
But my dad sold on eBay. So then when we met, I still like collected and stuff. So we would go to like antique stores and stuff like that. And then I guess it started with like us selling part of my dad's license plate collection.
No, it was the so my mom.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
So when I moved back, my mom was still in California and she was running a storage facility in California.
Oh wow.
And they would have like the show, you know, people would default and they'd auction everything.
Right.
And the same like 6 people would come all the time. So she knew them. And one of the guys was like, hey, you know, I'm sorry to do this, but I really have to go. My guys are all gone. There's like a box left in the storage unit. Can you just throw it away from me? And she's like, yeah, no, absolutely. So she went in there and there was, I'm going to mispronounce this. They're Native American Kachina dolls.
Okay.
And she knew enough. She's like, are these worth money? And we looked a few up and we're like, yeah, they are. And she's like, well, I'm going to ship them to you. And can you sell them? And I'm like, yeah, we'll sell them. So then we started selling on eBay. And they sold like crazy, even the broken ones.
Okay.
Because some of them didn't make the shipping. And we're like,
what else can we
could probably do this? And that's when we started looking at YouTube. So that's
when you start to think about it, right?
Yeah. Well, we first started, that's where we found the YouTube. That's where we found you, Rally Roots, you know.
Cool.
So it's things like that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And that's the next part of this video. We're going to jump into the idea of what made you make the decision that we're going to do this full time. We're going to give it a go. Okay, so everybody out there wants to know, because it's difficult to actually make the leap from something to something else that's a little bit tough. You know, I was a teacher, right? So I tell a story all the time. 21 years, I made $42,000 a year, and I was paying $6,000 to insure my family. It wasn't a hard leap for me.
Right, no.
You know, I can do it. I can make ends meet. But for some people, they're used to living different lifestyles. They have different jobs, different careers. So I'm curious, what were your jobs before you started doing this full time? What were you doing?
I was a full-time landscaper. I had my own landscaping company. I found out early on that I knew very early on that I wasn't going to be working for other people.
Okay, that's one of the questions I had for you. Is a lot of folks that I've interviewed in this cabin, we're gonna, there's a bunch of names over there on that wall right there. All of them are full-time resellers, or almost all of them, and there's that one just similar thing that runs through a lot of people is it's not that you don't want to take orders.
No,
it's that you don't. It's for him. I don't want to listen to. Is it true? Does he not want to take orders?
Yeah, that's true.
That's funny. For me, when I was teaching, I knew how to do it better than everybody else, right? So it was like I just can't do it their way. And so for the last 10 years, I just did it my way. And they weren't going to fire me anyways because you can't find a teacher.
Yeah.
So
I worked for big corporations in my life, and it was so much wasted time that drove me mental. And that was part of the reason I'm like, I just can't do this anymore. So it was to the point where I'm like, I'm going to cut people's grass. I don't even care.
There
I
you
just
go.
don't want to work for anybody.
I feel the same way now that I'm out, now that I made that leap. There's virtually no way you could get me to go back. I would deliver pizzas. I would cut grass. I'll clean your Airbnb. I do not care.
Yeah.
The freedom that goes with it is just amazing. Now, having said that, this is why I interview people like you, because I want to give people a reality check of, some people think that they can live this, $100 million lifestyle and quit their job and travel and whatever. And I like to get people grounded. So that was not it. Now, did you continue? I imagine you just didn't quit. That's the kind of job where you can ease away from and into another
exactly
one, right?
What happened.
Okay.
Yeah, we eased away from it. I got hurt at one point, and that was just an easy way to say, there was the last 7 customers or something that were just great people. And it was like, okay, we'll just do this 2 days a week, get it done as fast as possible, and then move on from there. But, when I got hurt, I was just like...
I hear that from a lot of people. And in that case, you had it's not an excuse, but you had a reason to finally say no. I see a lot of people, if they get fired, then they'll do it kind of thing.
Right.
And in
happens,
that business, you really can't take a month off because everybody's grass is going to be... So it was unfair to them to ask... that way I'm going to be sidelined for a couple of weeks. So it was,
so how long ago was that you kind of ended, almost entirely last summer? So you're okay, very good, very good.
But the landscaping was so part-time by that point that we were literally spending 4 hours a day cutting people's grass, and then the rest of our week was
okay, for a day or two, right? Okay. Did you have a sale?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Very good. All right. Now, what were you doing before?
I was doing background checks. I was a supervisor at a background screening company.
So did you check him out before?
Oh, absolutely.
She actually circled the block because we were meeting at a restaurant and I said I was sitting outside, and she said she drove around, and she was like, "Oh, okay," because online dating, you never know.
That is too funny. I love it. Okay.
Yes, I did.
So what's your story then? So what made you finally say, whose idea was it here?
It was kind of like a mutual. It was more his idea, I think.
Okay.
Like you just said, it's your way. You were doing it your way because you knew they weren't going to fire you.
Right.
Same.
Okay.
I was just doing whatever, not whatever I wanted, but they weren't supervising me because they knew that it was getting done, But I was so stressed out.
Right.
I was working 60, 70 hours a week just to get the work done because there was so much.
And I'm sure in that job, it's not like you were making $200,000 a year.
Tell them a story about your one morning commute.
Oh yeah, where I would be so stressed out that I would have to pull over to the side of the road because I physically felt sick.
Right.
Because I was so stressed out. And we had a long weekend. It was like a holiday, so we had an extra day off, and we came back. And we came back, all of our clients also, they didn't have that day off, so our workload was quadruple.
Right.
And
how are you reselling at all when you were working 60 hours a week?
Oh, ask him. I was working constantly. I was listing.
Sarah can't sit still to begin with.
Okay, that's
so
good.
If she wasn't listing, she would have been putting in new cabinets or
I would my vacation time, my time away, my relaxation time from teaching was coming home and cleaning, testing, listening to music, watching
Yeah.
YouTube videos.
Yeah.
You know, I watched, you know, Pete Craigslist Hunter for years.
Yeah.
And that was my stress relief.
Yeah.
It's still not a job to me. And so you would come home even from a 60-hour-a-week job
and list like 40 records
because you liked it.
Yeah.
Did you have that love that she did too, or was it more of a way to get out of doing something else?
And this was not conscious. We didn't know, but we kind of divided our reselling up into like, you know, in any company you put people that excel in things.
Right. Who does better at what? Yeah.
And she would always list. I would always do all the packing and handle most of the customer stuff, which, you know.
Right.
You know how that
It
goes.
happened. I just had a return request before we came down here, so yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we would do it. And, you know, she would list, we'd both source, we'd both, you know, go out and find things and so forth. And I would research, she would list, or she would research and then list. And that's kind of how we divided it up. So I mean, I had the same love for it.
Okay.
Anything that in my mind that could have, you know, kind of kept us going in that upward direction would work.
Okay.
And we didn't know what we were doing at all. Like,
Well, let me ask one more question, and then we're going to go to the next phase, which is kind of looking into the financial part of it and what your day looks like and how you're actually making ends meet. But before I do that, how did you finally make the step? How did you finally say I'm done? That's because it's easy, right? It's easing in here, but it sounds like there had to be a day where
there was. Yeah, actually, we were laying in bed the night before, and I was just like,
it was, yeah. I mean, like her Sundays were ruined. Sunday scaries. Sunday, she would just be miserable every Sunday, and you know, I've been self-employed for quite a while now, so like, you know, she had not only the stress of the job, but me saying like, they don't pay you enough money, they treat you like garbage, like all this stuff. Yeah. And that Sunday, she was laying in bed, and I could tell, like, I'm like, she does not.
Well, I said, I think I'm going to quit my job tomorrow, and kind of joking, but kind of like not.
Right.
And then went into work, and then like was so overwhelmed. It was lunch. I'm like, that is it. I cannot do this anymore.
At lunchtime.
Yes, right before I was like, I should be going to lunch.
You didn't give them 4 hours notice.
No, because I knew if I did, they would beg me to stay.
Right, and so you told them right then, and you walked out the door at lunchtime.
I took my keys. I took them into my boss's office. I'm like, I'm done.
I went out. A little more swearing.
Shove it.
Yes,
Awesome.
there was some yelling. There was some chasing out to the parking lot.
Speaking of yelling, this one needs a treat, so we're going to take a break. All right, I want to get into the daily life because, you know, this is, people watch YouTube channels and they're like, oh, look at this, you know, look at how much they sell, and everybody always talks about all the money they make and whatever, but they don't always show what's behind the curtain. So what is your daily... you both do different things, and you probably do, you know, shipping or whatever, and you're doing this. So, what does your daily life look like? You know, when you wake up in the morning, do you have a routine?
Morning.
Is it morning? There you go. When you wake up in the afternoon,
at noon,
what does your afternoon look like? Go ahead.
I get up in the morning. It's that old joke that everyone's like, resellers, they're lazy and they don't do anything. You sleep till 3 o'clock.
Sure.
We typically get up in the morning, and normally I get up to her. She's probably already listening.
Wow, that's a good habit. My first habit when I was so scared when I quit my job, I'm like, I've got to make this work.
Yep.
I would go out in the backyard, sit in my chair underneath my tree with the chickens, and I would list 10 things before I'd have a cup of coffee, but I wouldn't allow myself to do anything, not even make a video, nothing.
Yeah.
10 things had to get listed before I started my day.
We used to have a 20 a day goal, and now I think we go beyond that most of the time.
Usually.
Because we found that, you know, we found a few things that we can list real fast. So putting it down to that 20 goal, 20. But so that's she's normally listing, and then we normally have a plan of what we're going to do that day. So it's normally either we're going to thrift stores, normally in the wintertime it's thrift stores. But we do a lot of our sourcing online. So a lot of the times I'm looking at auctions, or she's looking at auctions, or vice versa. So that's typically what
this was a question I was going to ask to you later about a different topic, but do you do any online arbitrage on eBay itself?
Sometimes,
but not normally. We're lucky. We have 2 auctions in our immediate area
Yeah.
that are on high bid all the time that don't ship.
Oh, wow.
So less
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's pickup only.
Very
and
good.
Most
Yes.
of the time we can get a lot. And they
So your competition is whittled way down then.
Yes.
whittle way down. And
Yeah.
the nice thing about it is we've kind of tailored our store to fit the
What they
vast
have.
majority of the stuff they
Yeah.
have
Oh, okay.
is what we sell.
Okay.
And what we like to sell
So what
anyways. which-
percentage of your items that you're selling are coming from online auctions versus thrift stores?
I'd say 75%.
Okay, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
and that's a lot because I tell people all the time, I'm like, you can do what I do and go to garage sale. I say, but you really have to have a pretty consistent
Yes.
source,
Yes.
you know, and or multiple sources.
Yes.
And people think they can just go to the
Yeah.
Goodwill and make a living.
No.
And maybe you can, but you better live next to some really good Goodwill.
Well, but that was-
unlike what you see out here, right?
Right.
And that's the facade that YouTube has created, where you get people making all these videos where people walk in and they're tripping over 80s Grateful Dead shirts
That's
and
right.
stuff like that.
That's
So
right.
it's not that's not reality. Reality is you really do have to go out and
Yeah.
Gotta beat the
actually
bushes.
yeah,
for
and
sure.
you've got to buy things for $4 or $5 and sell them
Yes.
for 30 or 40.
Are
things
you
like that.
are you doing the shipping daily?
Yes.
Or you're doing all the
He does
shipping?
all the shipping.
Okay, and so you probably list more than he lists?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll list
Very
like
Photos
easier
and postcards.
things.
Okay.
Yeah.
She doesn't like how I list, so it's just my good. Well, that and I don't
That's funny.
there and the stuff that she sells requires a bit of work. So,
Yeah.
Okay.
but yeah, for the most part, she's the lister. I'm the shipper, and I'm the customer service guy. Which
And
is
we'll
great.
both like
you
do
source
the
together?
online.
We always
Yeah.
source together.
Okay, and you'll look online and stuff to kind of together and say what you want to bid on. This
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Very
Sometimes,
good.
but sometimes we bid against each other if we
We-
don't
we
know
have
the
to.
same auction.
That is
So I'm like,
funny.
send me the listing so
That's
we make sure we
pretty
don't
good.
bid
Yeah.
against
I
each
like
other.
I'm like, I bid on these, and she's like, I bid on them yesterday. And I'm
Yeah, it's funny. How many hours do you currently put in? I mean, not that you even keep track, but what do you think?
Like listing, sourcing,
No, I
shipping.
mean like working on your business. Yeah,
a day.
50 easy a week.
in a week, 50 easy.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I feel like I'm constantly. I mean, even if I'm on the couch,
And that would be
I'm, like,
50 and
sourcing
50.
online.
Yeah, she does a lot more. Well, no, well, legitimately,
She does a lot more
the
work than
cabbage
me.
patches take a lot more time.
Right,
They-
right.
So a lot of the times when she's just relaxing, she's working on cabbage patches.
Okay.
So that's so yeah, I'd say 50 and 50. I tell people this all the time on the live. The same thing. I would safely say we work more hours now
Yes.
than we did when we worked 9 to 5 jobs.
Right.
But
Sure.
a lot of it is sitting on the couch with your phone
Right,
in your hand,
right,
looking
right.
through
Or
auctions
sourcing, which isn't
Yes.
going to the
or
Goodwill or whatever.
talking to each other and being like, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to this one tomorrow. We're going
Right.
here tomorrow. Or
Okay.
there's an estate sale tomorrow. Look at this.
Right,
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you how many times we're sitting next to each other on the couch and it's like, look at this estate sale. Or whatever.
What do you think of this? What do
You
you think of
gotta
this?
love it.
And
Right, you gotta love it.
we have the advantage. You were talking about garage sales and things like that. And when we got here, we actually said to you, like, I understand why you go to so many garage
Yeah.
sales because your Goodwill suck.
They're terrible.
Yeah. Ours are
They're-
not that way.
Man, beyond terrible.
And I think it's because, and that's what I tell people all the time on the live too, is it's very region specific. Like our region in Pittsburgh is one of the, you got that working class mentality where people buy things and hang on to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when they die or when, the families have to deal with
Yep.
estates, it all gets donated.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we are lucky where we live.
Yep. Our location is huge.
Yeah.
Everybody picks different things based on their location.
Yes.
And so to watch a YouTube channel, and a lot of people are, and then they go out garage sale and they can't find anything, where I find stuff at garage sales.
Right.
And then they start going to thrift stores, like, why aren't you going to thrift stores? Or they'll mention a thrift store that I've never heard of before because it's in their
Right.
area and
Yeah.
not in ours. So very region specific for sure. All right, so how long are we into this now? A year full time? Not quite?
Almost two.
Oh, you said,
Yeah.
so last summer, so you meant the previous summer, you completely stopped doing
Oh well, full time.
full time, yeah.
Yeah, like almost a year.
Okay.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
All right, and
Yeah.
no regrets yet?
No.
So you have no regrets whatsoever? Do you have any regrets besides marrying him? You know?
No, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like I get worried sometimes.
Okay.
She's never been self-employed. I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know it's the peak. There's peaks
There's
and valleys.
peaks.
Yes,
and
the peaks and valleys like freak me out.
I get
still
messages from
sometimes.
people every day, like, who are full time, and
Yeah.
different people. Some people I know, some people I only know through comments and on YouTube, and they're like, I haven't sold anything in 2 days, and you can just sense the stress, right? Because their whole life is dependent on this now, right? And so the peaks and valleys, I think that's a good point.
Yes.
You have to be prepared. You have to put a little bit of money away.
Yes.
Did you do that when you started? You had a little bit of money, or you're fairly comfortable. Are you making enough to meet your needs at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
We were doing some side things, deliveries and things like that.
Around the holidays, we like to travel too.
Right.
So a lot of our play money came from other avenues.
Right.
But our goal as of recent has been it just pay for everything, including our travel.
Including your travel and everything. So instead of having, a side gig on top of a side gig on top, this is it. And if you really pound the pavement, you think you can make enough not only to pay your bills, but to do some extra.
We're close.
You're close.
We've definitely ramped it up since the beginning of this year, and it's definitely made a difference.
Okay, very good. Yeah. And so how about cross-listing, that kind of thing? Is that what you're doing? Do you have any goals in mind going forward to increase the revenue? New products, maybe increasing. I hear people all the time, which is not my kind of gig. If you watch my show, I don't mind selling small dollar items, but do you think about that? Like how much money you have to make? What are the things that are in place in your mind to increase the revenue? Or are you happy with where you're at?
We were happy with what we're selling, but we want to sell more of it.
Oh, yeah.
Is really what it is.
So we always want more money.
Well, because people chase. I mean, I say this all the time on the live too. If you're chasing the bolos that you see, you're going broke. You're not going to make it.
Yeah, you got to buy the bread and butter too.
You got to, you got to have the small items that sustains you.
Okay.
And that's what sustains us. Our photographs that we sell, our postcards, and our clothing, or Afghan stuff like that.
Right.
That's what sustains us. We'll get that pop like the Grateful Dead shirts that we just sold, things like that. And those are great. But
how much you get on that?
$200.
All right, you're gonna have to send me a picture. I'm gonna stick it up here in the video.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Still got one for sale.
We got two.
But we'll have to put your store on there. Y'all know, so it's Pittsburgh Picker here. And you have an Instagram as well, Pittsburgh Picker.
It's the Berg Picker.
The Bird Picker. We'll pop that up on the screen too. And then we're going to talk to you. We're doing a whole nother video on what you do. And that business is increasing as well. And so let me ask you one kind of final thing here in regards to increasing your revenue as a reseller. And a lot of people tell me, I bought my GoPro camera and I'm ready to start making YouTube, and I'm quitting my job in 2 months and I'm redoing, full time. You've done YouTube for a while. So what do you think? What would you say to somebody who's coming to you saying, I'm quitting my job and becoming a reseller and a /YouTuber? What do you got for them?
So I'm not a good YouTuber.
Let me tell you, your voice is amazing.
Yes,
you should listen to this.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
I'm not a good YouTuber because what we had going from the beginning was we were filming, and Pittsburgh's very... the easiest way to say it is using a Pittsburghese saying where people are nebby. Which means everybody's in everybody else's business. And that's what happened to us, is we got progressively kicked out of places for filming as time went on, and then we eventually just went, we're not doing this anymore. So the station, the channel kind of became a vlog type station on live. And so, but what if I had to say something to, me when I started is the 1,000 subscriber mark is your first benchmark, and don't expect that you're going to make thousands upon thousands of dollars from YouTube once you hit that mark. You've got to go way beyond that, and you've got to put so much time and effort into it. It's a lot of work.
Okay, good. So I try not to give people misconceptions when I talk about YouTube or when I talk about reselling. I try to, that's why I sell $10 items,
Ashtrays.
And I tell people I'm really still a part-time seller in some senses because I've got other income. But I just thought that was important because you would be surprised at how many people think that's the way to go. Now, I will say this, and I advocate for social media presence. And I think, and we're going to do a whole separate video, but I would say, I'd venture to say that there is some value to your reselling business by this social media and your social media.
Yes.
And it might not be proportional, but it certainly is there and can be scaled.
Yeah. And that's how we try it. When I started the channel, that was, we, like everybody else, got the same idea. You said you get the message all the time where I got my GoPro and I'm ready to go and I'm going to be a millionaire. That's why we started the channel, because when we started reselling, we fell victim to the same mistake.
Yeah.
Where I'm tripping over $1,000 items at thrift stores, and that's just not the case. And so that's kind of what we tailored the channel to be, was this is what it really looks like.
Reality,
Yeah.
right?
And that's why
so if y'all want a show to listen to, first of all, they're very funny.
Thank you.
But they're not going to lead you astray. They're going to give you the straight stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And talk about the reality of it, and the day in and day out of it. And so that's why I appreciate it. That's why I listen to y'all too. So, anyway, is there anything else? So, warnings to people, advice to people before we end this video.
Sell what you know.
Sell what you know.
Yep.
Okay.
Sell what you know. I
Okay.
mean, start
That's
off
Chris,
selling
old
what
school
you know.
picker, right? He's got this little thing. You got
He
to sell
does
what
that,
you
yeah.
find.
Yes,
right?
that's
Sell
what I
you
say.
find.
Yeah, whatever you can find.
But that's how we got into it. I mean, we started selling things that we know
Mm-hmm.
well.
And you can branch out and
You
learn
branch out.
from there, right?
Well, vintage
Cabbage Patch.
T-shirts. Yeah, we didn't know
Yeah.
anything about vintage T-shirts until we started selling them.
Then I've got a box
Yeah.
I got to show you inside.
I didn't know anything about Cabbage Patch.
Okay. So,
A little bit.
You know, I know nobody, and we joked around at the beginning of this video, quit your job, right, walk out in the middle of the day.
Right.
Which she
And,
did.
and you don't want to give any bad advice to people, but I think you've got a great grounded approach to it. It is possible, but there are sacrifices that have to
We
be
definitely
made.
made a lot more sacrifices that first 4 months. I don't think we
Yeah.
really did much of anything.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We just focused right in on that
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
And it was okay, and we didn't say this, when she quit her job and my phone rang that morning. I saw, and she never calls me from her cell phone. And I saw her name.
Were you
and
crying?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I was in
I
the
saw
car
her name, and the
crying.
first thing that popped into my
She
head was she quit her job. And I answered the phone.
Were you excited?
I actually was, because
He was. Yeah.
I actually felt like both of our jobs were hindering what could be.
Yeah.
Right.
If we could just have that extra time that we spend, what could be, and we showed it right afterwards, because that first 6 months was insane.
Yeah.
Just from doing what we, and it still is great.
Just one little thing that just popped in my mind before we end this thing here is you mentioned cross-listing, and you're doing, so how many sites, we didn't mention this, how many different sites are y'all selling? And I want to talk to you, y'all. I'm going to do a video and ask some of these questions to her, because she's actually selling on Instagram through Shopify, which is an interesting thing too. You hear a lot of people doing Whatnot that have social followings, but Instagram with social followings is an option as well. What platforms are you selling on?
Poshmark, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, and Grailed.
And Grailed, okay. Vintage t-shirts?
Yeah, but we're not doing very good.
Not doing very good.
We just started on Grailed, and we haven't sold anything.
So we're not doing it at all, actually.
Grailed, there may be a video on why I quit Grailed very quickly afterwards.
Very good.
We just don't. I don't think we have the right stuff for Grailed.
Right.
Grailed is vintage tees,
Yeah,
vintage
yeah.
whatever, and it's primarily male focused. So it seems like the female or the women's side of Grailed is really not taking off, and we have a lot of both.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna give you one last chance. Well, your show just went away.
Story
So
of our
y'all
life.
go over and check them out, Pittsburgh Pickers. Anything else you want to go? Duburg Picker
on Instagram.
on Instagram, and you're the Daily Cabbage.
Yep.
Do have
And-
a Facebook page. but
Oh,
not-
Facebook page.
Pittsburgh
Okay,
Picker on
there you
Facebook.
go. Check them out.
Nice.
Thank y'all very, very much. You're a good voice of reason for my audience. I appreciate you coming.
That's the first time anybody's ever said
All right, let's go back here, and you guys got to go sign this thing. So grab a Sharpie over there. You're gonna have to sign this for us, and then we'll get you some goodies and get you the heck out of here. Okay, you got to take Pepper with you.
All right.
You're taking my cat, right?
I'll take the cat.
You're not Pepper. You got to take Boots.
I'll take the
She's
cat.
a cat.
I'll take-
We don't need
I'll-
another skittish.
I'll take the cat.
All right,
Down
y'all.
here.
Thank you.